Sio Nagad, hello all. Osha Sahiya, good evening. And Wado, thank you for watching. This is day 31 of Transformation of America, the True Life Story of a CIA Mind Control Slave by Kathy O'Brien with Mark Phillips. And we are into chapter 9 of her story. Many commercial and instructional private pornography films I and others participated in, referred to as Uncle Ronnie's bedtime stories. Okay. Were manufactured solely for his pleasure, oftentimes according to his instruction, using freedom-trained slaves. After my initial meeting with Reagan, I was used in numerous films that were produced predominantly at Youngstown Charm School and or by his chief pornographer, Michael Dante, D-A-N-T-E, with that little thingy above the E, specifically to satisfy his perversions. These included a wide range of cryptic themes, but were mostly bestiality. Reagan often watched the videos while I was prostituted to him, requiring me to reenact the porn however possible. I first met Reagan's chief pornographer, Michael Dante, aka Michael V-I-T-I, Vitti, at an elite Nashville hotel where he was attending charity golf tournament festivities like CIA operative Charlie Pride's Pro-Am golf tournament in Albuquerque, New Mexico. This charity tournament provided a cover for the cocaine and white slavery operations that dominated the event. Houston and I often attended such charity events, as did Dante, but it was only after having met Reagan and that Dante's and my paths crossed as arranged. Dante took me to his hotel room. After our initial introduction, he snorted a few lines of coke, looked me over as though I were merchandise, and accessed my sex programming. He then arrogantly asked me if I knew who he was. He told me he lived in Beverly Hills, California, and made movies. I thought he was referring to his box office flop, Winter Hawk, until he said Uncle Ronnie sent me. He wants me to make movies with you as your contribution. And that's spaced out. We're going to have a good time. Then he's going to have a good time and everybody's happy. You'll like that, won't you, baby? Get dressed. We're going back downstairs and make arrangements. Dante telephoned me often, professing our love through command of reinforcements and making arrangements to meet me in specific places for producing Uncle Ronnie's bedtime stories and commercial porn. These locations included, among others, Tennessee, Florida, the Caribbean, and California. He often talked of owning me in the future, painting a picture of what life would be like living with him. His attitude toward women was atypical of slave owners and handlers, and he often quoted scripture to justify his dominance. No arguments. Speak only when spoken to. Take a good beating now, and then just to keep you in line. Okay. See to all my comforts and housework, and be on call 24 hours a day when I need a good whore. He gave me a slave bracelet, a trademark of his porn, and said a woman needs a chain. It's a public reminder of total commitment and devotion, a reminder of the chain of command a woman is tied to her man. No man should be tied to a woman. Dante's Connecticut, and those were all in quotes. Dante's Connecticut Italian roots are in the mafia, and it was a well-established fact that organized crime and government had a close working relationship where criminal covert activities were concerned. I met many of Dante's associates, and we already shared a few common contacts who were conduits between the mafia and the CIA. These included Congressman Guy Vanderjagt, former President Gerald Ford, then Governor of Pennsylvania Dick Thornburr, Jeepers, Congressman Jim Traficant, Congressman Gary Ackerman, and Ronald Reagan. Dante related to me when Reagan was governor of California. We went to Dodger baseball games together and sat in the press box. I got to know him real well, and we got along. So he and Tommy Lasorda, Dodger manager and their mutual friend, and I would continue partying after the game. I brought him a few girls, which you mean slaves, and we did business. Really, Tommy Lasorda brought us together. You'll like him. I'll take you to meet him. We'll go to games together all the time, every chance we get. You'll love that, won't you, baby? You like a press box, baby. Dick says you do. I wasn't surprised that Dick Thornburr had talked about his previous perverse sexual activity with me at a baseball game back east, any more than I was surprised to learn that Dante knew Thornburr through their mutual political and baseball ties. Dick Thornburr was the governor of Pennsylvania during my tenure as a presidential model mind control slave. He used his influence to bring Houston into Pennsylvania state and county fairs year after year for the purposes of cocaine and pornography distribution, as well as for prostitution of me to him on a regular basis. Thornborough was a heavy cocaine user and was deeply involved in CIA covert activities, particularly Project Monarch. He was a firm believer in mind control, not only for sex training and government operations, but for sports. An avid baseball fan, Thornborough had much to share with Reagan, Dante, and Lasorda. I had been given handwriting analysis lectures on NCL's Norway cruise ship cover for covert operations. In 1987, in Thornborough and his friend Chicago Cubs baseball scout Jim Zerilla, Zerilla, were in attendance. Afterwards, Zerilla offered me a job with the Baseball Commission, analyzing handwriting of their $1 million babies baseball players before they were signed up. Thornborough explained that the job may not fit into my schedule. Nevertheless, we met on several occasions during the course of the cruise, always for sex, but business was discussed as well. And I did not spell Lasorda. I just thought everybody knew Tommy Lasorda because I just grew up around that time. Anyway, his last name is L-A and then S-O-R-D-A. My programmed mind contained a baseball computer that was created for Reagan and used by many, including Thornborough, Lasorda, Dante, and Zerilla. It was packed with the kinds of statistics in which they were interested, the codes, keys, triggers, and hand signals of certain mind-controlled baseball players. Mind-controlled baseball players, y'all. Zerilla and Thornborough were cruising en route to the Dominican Republic to the CIA baseball mind control farm to scout out new slaves. They talked excitedly about the prospect of winning large sums of money through gambling on rigged games. I had been aware for years that many pro players, particularly Lasorda's Dodgers, were mind-controlled and triggered to win or lose according to their owners' bets and favors. The Dodgers, Reagan's favorite American pastime ball team, continuously won the World Series during his administration. Okay. The mafia was in on the bet Reagan, and information was passed to certain ones through Thornborough and others as gleaned from my baseball computer programming. To this day, I am not certain who instigated the plastic surgery to which I was forcibly suggested, but soon after meeting Reagan and Dante, I was scheduled for breast implants. Perhaps it was done for pornography, perhaps it was Reagan's preference. I tend to believe it was a combination of the two and ordered since my breasts were no longer lactating. In the first commercial porn film, Reagan had directed Dante to produce it. In St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands, my breasts were still tender and swollen from the silicone implant surgery. My appearance was not the only makeover I endured after meeting Reagan. Aquino and I were called to Washington, D.C. to revise my base core programming to override Senator Byrd's control for security reasons. Since Reagan had been shot, he took extra precautions to ensure his safety, which included directing Aquino as to how he wanted to be programmed. Much to Aquino's dismay and embarrassment, Reagan admired the occult role that this Army Lieutenant Colonel played for mind control traumatization purposes, as it fit in with the public promotion of religion Reagan had launched. Reagan claimed to believe that the masses were easiest to manipulate through their religion, as were mind-controlled slaves like myself. Think about that. The masses were easiest to manipulate through their religion. While Reagan had Aquino in D.C., he demanded that he wear his black ritual robes to a White House party to reinforce the controlling superstitions of few South/Central American diplomats. Aquino appeared foolish in the eyes of his peers. They knew Aquino's image was only a guise for psychological warfare, but his appearance at the White House in costume made Aquino look like he believed his own facade. Aquino got even with Reagan minutes before I was prostituted to Reagan that evening. Aquino ordered me into a closed room where he very quickly had intercourse with me. When he finished ejaculating, he slapped me on the behind and disrespectfully said, "Take that to the chief." Earlier that day, Reagan instructed Aquino how to program me in keeping with spin programming depicted in how-to videos program it. Reagan said, referring to me as though I were an object. Under number one. I like the number one. It's the first, the best, and it promotes confidence. Like I've won. Okay. I observed Aquino, given him the intellectually disgusted look he reserved for anyone with the fortitude to make a suggestion to him, but tempered his reaction by giving some thought to the request. Since the how-to video showed the sixth revolution to ignite the heat of hell for sex, no one would suspect I had sex programming under the first revolution. It would take some modification of my initial programming, but Aquino was sold on the idea. By programming me according to Reagan's instruction, Aquino would be able to provide adding protection for Reagan, whereby any program I was under at the time would immediately become replaced by Reagan's number one as quickly as I saw him. This effective safety measure infuriated Byrd, The first time he saw me instantaneously switch out of his control in Reagan's presence. All right. Until we meet again. Love you, mean it. Tomorrow we will finish chapter 9 and roll into chapter 10. And if y'all heard anything, like any kids or anything like that, my husband is chasing my son around upstairs. They're just having a blast. Anyway, I hope y'all are making it through. It's hard, and I waited till this evening. Normally I do it on his naps because, you know, he's sleeping and then he can't like run in and hear any of this stuff, but it is difficult on me to read this. So I was just like, I really don't want to do it, but I went ahead and buckled down and did it. Anyway, hopefully you're grateful and this is informative for you.